to be in Matthew was with COVID.
What a time to be alive.
Welcome back, sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, buddy. Doing good. Good to have you back.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah.
Sorry if you hear some remnants of a New York accent. When you're around family for a week and they talk like they're in Goodfellas.
I was in Ireland for 2 weeks once, and you would have thought I was Irish when I left. I ended everything with a question. Yeah, it happens. It happens. But Director Matthew is with us from the Hizzy, where he is directing the proceedings here on the Jeff Cameron Show. It is good to be with you, and I say that sincerely. I mean that every day, but I'm really feeling more excited with every day that passes because of all that's going on right now. And in fact, let me get out in front of this right now. If you're just joining in on the chat, if you're watching on Warchant TV, make sure you like and subscribe. Also, make sure you're locked in on all the podcasts, the Jeff Cameron Show podcast on the Warchant Network, on the podcast network. You want to make sure you're subscribed to that. It's important. And the same is true for Wake Up Warchant and Seminole Headlines. But just get your house in order, all right? Get your house in order. It's about to be football season. Get your house in order. Get subscribed and locked into the things that you need to be subscribing. Supposed
to win.
Little Magic Johnson came out. So let's go. And the other thing is we're crossing our fingers here, man. This opening segment is kind of touch and go. I'm not going to launch into any long diatribe about anything just yet because we're waiting word from 4-star offensive tackle Lucas Simmons. Now, Lucas Simmons, if you haven't been following recruiting, I know most of you hardcores have, of course. But for those that don't, you're just driving about town, tuning into the wildly popular Jeff Cameron Show, and what's he going to talk about today? Well, let me tell you, Lucas Simmons is a grown-ass man. Now, this is, you know how it's been an eternal quest for Florida State to find legitimate tackles? How we've been waiting for a very long time to get a guy that fits the mold of a legitimate offensive tackle? Well, Lucas Simmons is that. He's 6'7", 300 pounds, and he just committed to Florida State University. Bam!
All right, that's a big hand.
Just like that, it has happened.
All right, that's a big hand.
Woo! Come on in, Lucas. Come on. There it is. Thank you, Ryan. I see you in the chat. Yes, that is a big man. Oh, man, have I waited for this day. Here you go. Lucas Simmons, the big offensive tackle out of Clearwater, 6'7", 300 pounds, and skilled. Now, let me tell you, this isn't one of those, you got a guy that fits the mold because of the measurables. No, this is a guy let me tell you who was in on Lucas Simmons. First of all, we beat out the University of Florida. We beat out, which is important. We beat out Miami. We beat out Michigan. We beat out Oklahoma. We beat out Oklahoma State, whom he visited. We beat out Oregon. We beat out Tennessee, whom he visited. Texas A&M. Ohio State, whom he visited. Southern Cal. I mean, that's a list now. When you're beating Florida, Oklahoma, USC, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Miami, Michigan, you're beating out some teams. There's a whole host of others. But we got them. And that is a really, really big move. Now, let me tell you something. I have said this for how long, and I don't know that I can reiterate this enough, emphasize this enough. Whatever they're paying Alex Atkins, it ain't enough. That is the man.
All right,
that's right. Just have the picture of Alex Atkins smoking a cigar on hand at all times. Because that dude, I mean, this is how many now? He is unbelievable. Yeah, Robert, I'll buy one of those. I'll buy a shirt. Print them. Let's go. Now, I mean, if you had a bunch of Alex Atkins, you'd really be in good shape, but you don't. You got that guy, and that guy's doing work. some of the other guys need to get on with the getting and do a little work too, okay? Because we're lacking in some areas. But thank goodness that they got that guy. And that's listen, congratulations. Mike Norvell and staff needed this. We've been waiting on this. This is a skilled big man. This is 6'7", 300 pounds, but can bend, can move, good feet. This is the kind of guy that changes games. This is the kind of guy we've been waiting on for them to be able to bring in. So big news today, right at the start of the Jeff Cameron Show, and that we got Lucas Simmons, and we knew the announcement was going to come down right in this opening segment. And so we're efforting right now to bring in Michael Langston, our lead recruiting analyst, and we'll get him in shortly. I think what we should do is maybe take a quick break, Tom, and then come back and we'll corral Michael Langston now that the announcement's been made, now that we know he's coming to Florida State, the impact in recruiting, the impact on this class, the impact of Alex Atkins. And then let's not overlook something. And this might be the first question I ask him when we come back. What does that say? Now, you heard the names of the teams that Florida State just beat out. What do those teams have in common besides big boy football? Yeah. NIL. Tons of it. Throwing cash all over the place. Southern Cal, Texas A&M, although Jimbo swears it's never been done.
I don't cheat and I don't lie.
Miami, all these schools that are just throwing money into the NIL big time to win over and flip prospects. Well, Florida State just beat him out for this kid. What does that say about Florida State and how buttoned up and organized perhaps they are with NIL finally? We've been waiting. But it may very well be. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. Some people call me Paul because I work at Paul's Termite and Pest Control. Everyone that works here will proudly answer to the name Paul. One of the things I love about my job is that I get to help people fix their problems every day. If you have pests in your home and you're like 99.9% of the people I deal with, you want them gone, not tomorrow, but right now. It always puts a smile on my face to hear the reaction of a customer when I tell them we'll have someone out there in a couple of hours. At Paul's, I get the privilege of making your environment safer and more healthy for your family and pets. And because Paul's provides a same-day service guarantee with minimal wait, we get to begin the process right after I receive the call.
If you live in Leon County and call us by noon, Paul's Pest Control will be out by 5, guaranteed. We're a local company, and it's our mission to help keep Tallahassee area customers comfortable and free from the problem that pests bring. And we do so with treatments that are friendly to our environment for the elimination of termites and any other pests.
And a greener lawn, too. Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
So let's say you're considering buying a new home in the current climate. You've all heard the demand is high, inventory is low. How do you get a leg up on the rest of the buyers all making offers on the same house as you? Well, that's a toughie. But the first place I'd suggest you start is with a call to my friends Shannon and the legendary team at Hamilton Home Loan. These guys will set you up with complete pre-approval underwriting. This used to be an upgrade, but nowadays it's got to be standard. If you want to get your offer on a new home pushed to the front of the line, you need a TBD full underwriting approval from the legendary team at Hamilton Home Loans. You'll shorten or even remove your financing contingency, and the sellers will know that your offer is very real and ready to go. It's tough out there, folks, so why not have the advantage of a proven winning team in your huddle? Get pre-approval underwriting from my friends, the legendary team at Hamilton Home Loans. Call them today. It's 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN, or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com, FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 200719.
Siri, tell me a joke. The past, present, and future walk into a bar. It was tense.
All jokes aside, the trained professionals at Mac & More Systems are serious about Apple products. For all your Mac repairs, call Mac & More Systems at 894-3622, 894-3622.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Because we are able to corral our man. Recruiting analyst, lead recruiting analyst for Warchant, of course, is Michael Langston. He joins us now on the Jeff Cameron Show after the news. If you guys are just joining us, after the big news that Lucas Simmons is indeed a Nole. Good afternoon, Michael. How are you, brother?
I'm fantastic, man. Offensive tackle.
Hey,
How about it? How about it?
Hey, we got one, and he's a real offensive
No,
tackle.
he's a real good one too. Very skilled kid from originally from Sweden, transferred over there to Clearwater International. The guy that Alex Atkins has put so much effort in from the beginning. FSU was on him the hardest. They did the best job. They connected with his family, connected with the kid in a way that nobody else has. And as I've said before, Alex Atkins is a rock star when it comes to when you watch him coach, the way he connects with people. It's one thing coaching him, Jeff, but it's another thing how the kids respond to what you're teaching him. And with Alex, whether it's recruits or football players, he just nailed another big one, a big one.
So I'm fortunate enough, Michael, we're all out there. We cover this program and we watch these practices and we watch him specifically. We're all drawn to him to watch him, the way he coaches. My question for you is when you hear back from recruits about this connection, because that's a word we use a lot and it's obviously huge in recruiting, but that real connection, where it stands out to me, Michael, is when you notice that he's able to get on guys and say harsh things and they'll listen and not take it personal because they know he loves them. They're connected. That's the bond that he creates where you can say within reason, you can say anything.
Yeah, and I think the thing that he does the best is he treats them like they're regular people, like he's one of their players. I mean, I've seen it in action in myself at Moore Athletic Center when I'm out there. He treats a lot of these recruits like they're already on the team, like he does his player. He's as hard on these recruits as he is, and he's genuine. He's real. He's not like some fake pitch where, hey, I want you, come here, you can kick ass at Florida State and you're the best. And it's really like he doesn't mind telling them straightforward, like, hey, look, if you're not using your hands right, your hand placement sucks, your footwork is not good, you do this will help. And he's not a big yeller when he does it. He gets it across in an easy way, in a comfortable way that I think a lot of these families and these recruits just gravitate to this guy because I mean, for people that haven't been around, I feel so fortunate to be around Alex, just seeing him interact with these recruits. It's like poetry in motion when you watch him, just the way he interacts with these guys, and it's so natural. It's not like a pitch. It's like naturally comfortable, and these recruits are naturally comfortable when they're around him, whether you meet him for the first time or you spend a lot and get a strong relationship like he did with Simmons, where he was on him before anybody. But it's about what you do with that relationship. You can have the connection, but what do you do? How does that relationship evolve? And that's what Atkins does better than any, I think, offensive line coach out there. That the way the relationship grows so fast.
Michael, I just before you came on, I was explaining to the audience that, not only is this guy for real, but they beat out major players throughout college football for his services. And I want to point out, of course, that they just did this with Keldrick Falk.
Yeah.
And they beat out, Auburn and Alabama. And I mean, goodness gracious, the who's who. And when you go back and you look at, Falk and his commitment and Simmons' commitment now, and Roderick Kearney, another four-star offensive, right? They're beating out some big-time players. That brings me to NIL. Florida State was thought to be for a very long time, and maybe were, lagging behind in NIL. Is this an indication now that they've caught up?
I think it's Yeah, I think it's an indication that it's organized, prepared. They take it very seriously. There's going to be guys that they value. Yeah, they're not going to value every single guy like all these crazy numbers for
Numbers, yeah.
SEC teams, but they're going to, if there's a guy they value like a Lucas Simmons, like a Keldrick Falk, like certain guys that are really high on their radar, they're going to get it done. And NIL is not going to be an issue with them, and they've certainly put as much dedication in the way they recruit, way the coaches recruit. The NIL has put that much dedication into the process of making sure the presentation is very strong, very comfortable, very fair and detailed, and they take a lot of pride in this doing this. And I think, yeah, they've made a solid jump to what they were, because it was not good a year ago or so ago. So I think they made major strides when it comes to the NIL department.
Yeah, and it comes at a time where you're seeing the efforts to rededicate to football. We both know, and there's going to be a story coming out. I think Ira's going to write it, so I don't want to get into the details here. But we both know that there are some numbers that are going to let our fan base, the Florida State football fan base, know that Florida State is committed to football again. And it has to do with salaries for these coaches. It has to do with the additions to the staff with analysts. It has to do Michael Alford's efforts to make sure football is front and center in their efforts. You're seeing this now, and then you marry that with what we're talking about right here, the NIL, the organization, the identification of certain players where that's going to be necessary, and you're out dueling, like we said, a Florida, a Southern Cal, a Tennessee, a Georgia, and that's real significant progress.
It is, and you're talking about, the main competition was Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee has done really good in the NIL department. So going competition head to head, I think it just needs to stop that conversation. Is FSU doing what they need to do in NIL? I think you can pretty much close that conversation that they are. They're certainly going to be competitive. I think a lot of the positive with recruiting too is bringing in, getting your administration right with a fantastic AD in Michael Alford. I think he's done a phenomenal job. I think that while it doesn't connect solely to recruiting, this helps a lot as far as your presentation, your organization of your university. And I think having a guy and adding a guy like Alford is really gave FSU a lot of juice as far as everything around the university.
Before I ask about other names that are on the radar of Florida State coaches and Florida State fans want to hear about, whether we're talking about the Smothers kid or Nicholas, what I want to ask you this: tell us about Simmons, the player. I said at the outset when you and I began talking, this is a real deal, a real tackle, and he's athletic. Go ahead and expound, if you will, on what you know of him as a player.
Yeah, he's very unique. Really just long reach. I mean, really, really good range as far as in pass protection. But the thing that caught my attention was this kid's footwork. He's got really quick feet. You can have all the range you want if you don't square up and you're not beating the guy to the punch. There's guys that can get around you as far as that. But his range is really good. Footwork jumps out to me, and then the way he finishes. I mean, that's the thing that jumped out to me. I was like, usually I don't see guys that big, that long. Usually they're kind of just finesse, and he really finishes his block. So I'm sure that's certainly caught FSU's attention. I think this kid's a top 100 player. I mean, I think this kid, if he keeps growing and developing, this is a guy that you could talk about 5-star status down the line if he keeps developing. But I definitely think he's a top 100 player. I just think he fits everything to what FSU lacks, as far as that offensive tackle position.
Yeah, you said it. I'm glad you said it. I say it all the damn time. Give me some other names here. So we know we got to look ahead and find out who else, what key decisions are on the horizon. I know you wrote a piece about it on warchant.com. Talk about some other players real quick that we should be listening out for.
Yeah, quarterback Brock Glenn is another one where we're kind of way on. He's supposed to make a decision in either July or early August. FSU's done a tremendous job that with Coach Tokarts and Coach Norvell. They had him in for official visit on, just recently in June, and I think they have a good shot. I think they have a solid shot. I think FSU feels they have a real shot. So I think he's coming up. Jalen Smothers is supposed to announce his commitment around July 14th. The key there, I lean towards Oklahoma, but the key there is his mom is really tight with this FSU staff. She really loves what they do and how they approach things. So you never know how things can shift. But right now I'd say Oklahoma there, and then you also have linebacker Blake Nicholson out of California. He's a guy I like a lot. I think a lot of people just kind of put it in there. Oh, he's from the West Coast. That it's just going to be a lock that he goes to Oregon. I don't think it's a lock. I think watch out, because this one to me is more 50-50, and even maybe some people feel FSU's in a little better place, but I think he's going to decide late in July. I think FSU's a real player there. Now, will they win out? I don't know. I'm not going to sit there and tell you, oh, he definitely going to get that kid, but I think FSU is a major player, so that's certainly one to watch down the line. And then two other guys, Tavian Gadsden, he's a defensive tackle. Odell's been on him a long time. He's a guy that visited also officially in June. I like FSU's chances. I think FSU is going to land him. I already put in a forecast for FSU. So you have that. And then on the offensive line, I think this kind of sets you up for what you want to do, because you want to take 3 or 4 in this class, maybe 5. So I think DJ Chester's the next one on my radar, a talented guard that worked out at FSU several times. I think I'm close to putting in a forecast there for FSU. I like where they sit. I've heard that FSU feels very confident as far as where they sit with DJ Chester. So that's kind of the next big name to watch at offensive line. He's another one like Lucas was a 3-star. Now he's bumped up to 4-star, probably going to be a top 100 kid. And I kind of sense the same thing with DJ. I was extremely impressed when I watched this guy at the elite camp. I think he's going to be eventually a 4-star, and certainly a guy that FSU covets heavily. So those are some of the targets to kind of watch going forward.
Great work as always, Michael. Be well, good sir. Good to talk to you, man.
You too, bud.
All right, take care. Michael Langston, he is the recruiting analyst for Warchant.com, and you can go read that story that I was referencing a moment ago. You talked about the Blake Nicholson kid. It's interesting. I think the reason that he's the linebacker, that he feels like they still have hope, despite him being a West Coast guy, is the fact that he did visit in June. He did come here. So he was here on the 17th. If you go look at the other names on that list, whether it be Washington or Oregon or a few others, those aren't places that he's visited yet.
There are position groups that we have concerns as Nole fans or Nole media.
Dude.
There are concerns. This is not one of them, though. Now that you have Kearney and Simmons to anchor this offensive line recruiting class, man, that is doing some things.
Well, it's funny. I see it in the chat, and people aren't wrong. They're like, hey, can he recruit receivers too? Meaning Alex Adkins. Yeah, man, I'd put him on everybody. Just give him lots of money and be like, go connect with everybody because you're our guy, man.
He is the offensive coordinator after all. He has license to do that, so go for it.
Yeah. Listen, when you retool the offensive and defensive lines, now you're talking to me. Now you're speaking my language. I get tired. Listen, I get it. We are all in love with the sexiness of a skill position player. Everybody wants to talk about a wide receiver or running back, defensive back. They want to hear that a kid runs a 4.3. They want to know that, all those things, all those numbers that wow us are present. But we also know that having those players, and there are a lot of those kinds of guys with the advent of 7-on-7 and all that other stuff, with those kinds of guys being bountiful, at the end of the day, they're useless if you can't block. At the end of the day, if you can't stop the run, none of it matters either. Can't get the ball back. You get emasculated, you get exhausted. All these things that dictate whether or not you're able to utilize those sexy skill positions start and end in the trenches. You've got to win the line of scrimmage, and we can begin to talk about all that other stuff on quite literally on the periphery. You can do that then. So I don't get excited when I hear about a running back or a wide receiver. I don't. Now, even if they're great, I'm like, well, that's good. If we can't block, it's not going to matter. So when we're doing things like this, you're talking to me. Now I'm getting excited because it changes what's possible.
Yes, I would agree with that. It's just with wide receivers specifically, you'd like to get a guy.
Believe
like
me.
A dude.
Yes.
Any of them.
Our receivers suck. No. That's it.
Yeah.
Agreed. We definitely need to get receivers. And, listen, I hate it. I've been brutally honest on the airwaves about this. Yep. It drives me nuts to have to rip Ron Dugans. I was in school here. I watched him play here. He's a Nole through and through. He loves Florida State. All of the things that we like about him as Noles, we would, you celebrate. but he's done a terrible job. And there's just no getting around that. A terrible job, period. Full stop.
Yeah.
So you got, I'm with you. I'm just hoping that we get good enough to where we can garner some interest and make life a little easier for him. I think it's kind of a catch-22 here, Tom. We've watched this happen, and we've watched this play out over the years at other programs within the state too. When you get going bad, when you're going the wrong direction and you're losing games, those guys don't look to you. They don't want to come here. They want to go play in a sexy offense that's putting up huge points and winning games. So it's the chicken or the egg thing. You can't even draw attention from those guys when you are what we are as of the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you need a guy who's able to kick down the door and break down those walls. That's why you're here. You got to find a way to connect and make it happen.
Yeah, it's a footnote of every conversation that, even when times are good like today or times are bad, like there was yesterday, a quote that didn't look good for Florida State from a public relations standpoint, from a marketing standpoint. Florida State stopped recruiting this kid or that kid.
Yeah, the defensive back.
That's not a good look. But at the best of times and the worst of times for this particular season, you just got to win. Because, how are you going to hold this commitment till December? The only way you hold this commitment is if the coaching staff does enough that they're on solid ground, that everything's okay, that you see progress. That's how you close. Especially with a kid like this that you just got today. You've got to show it on the field. No matter what happens, good or bad, in July or August, it does not matter outside of a Duquesne loss, if that were to happen.
Oh, well, you'd fire them all on the spot.
Right, yes. Then you're starting over anyway.
Yeah.
Nothing in July or August matters. It's about September and what you do beyond there with the other 11 games starting September 1st. If you can win more than you lose by a decent clip, you're going to be in pretty good shape to close this December.
Yeah, and that is the biggest thing. I that comes up to, I see people all the time out and about in this lovely community of ours, and they'll ask, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? And invariably I say, you're going to hate this answer. They got to win some damn games, man. Like, the answer to the problems that of which you speak are resolved when you win some games.
But the good news is, if you want to look at the members of the staff that are pulling their weights, they're close to the football.
Oh, yeah.
Number one is Alex
Papuchis
Atkins.
is doing a good job
exactly.
now. Yeah, Alex Atkins is doing a good job there.
Right.
Yeah.
We might need
Odell has done a pretty good job. Yes.
You might need to revisit on the field if Papuchis is in charge of special teams. We'll know in about a month after the season
if
starts.
If that's not any better, we need to remove his responsibilities from special teams.
But just his responsibilities from special teams, not his check.
Not his check. Right.
That can clear for a little while longer. And Odell is doing great, as always.
Yeah.
And that looks like a group near the football, defensive tackle, that's going to be pretty well loaded for the next 2 or 3 seasons at minimum. So if you're going to excel in an area right now for where this program is, I totally agree with you. It's got to be in the trenches.
Well, you can just dictate terms at that point. You can run the football. You can obviously create leverage down and distance. You can do the things that give yourself a chance to succeed when you got to put it in the air. And that's an area where they've got to grow on a lot of levels. The receivers have to find a way to get open and get separation. They haven't had a lot of guys to do that. Maybe Micah Pittman changes the game this year. Winston Wright, we'll see how quickly he's able to get back on the field. If he is able to play early and not mid-season, but early in the season, well, that could change everything about what your receiving core looks like. Obviously, we've talked and debated a little bit about the third and the fourth and the fifth guy, but yeah.
But then when they're up 24-14,
hey,
late third quarter
baby.
against LSU, all right.
Yeah, well, that would be great. We can all dare to dream. It's that time. It's the month. It's the month to dare to dream. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The Linear County Sheriff's Office and GBI Douglas office are investigating a double homicide in Wright City. Linear County deputies responded to a 911 call at a camper on Courtney Way. As they approached the camper, 54-year-old Lisa Ravello opened the door and someone inside the camper shot her. Deputies took cover and another gunshot was heard within the camper. Mark Joyner, 54, was found dead from an apparent gunshot wound. Ravello and Joyner were in a relationship and lived in the camper. As an active and ongoing investigation, anyone with information can contact the Linear County Sheriff's Office at 229-482-3545. The Tallahassee Police Department is conducting a homicide investigation after a male was killed on Tharp Street early Friday morning. The shooting occurred just before 1 a.m. at an apartment complex. Anyone with information is asked to call TPD at 850-891-4200 or to anonymously call Crime Stoppers at 850-574-TIPS. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MclemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Mainly cloudy skies expected overnight with a slight chance for scattered thunderstorms. Lows level off around 75. South winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 86. Overcast skies. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow night. Lows dip down to about 74. Cloudy skies expected. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 78.
Jerry's Famous Cigar Shop is a special place. It's Tallahassee's only traditional gentleman's cigar lounge with a massive collection of hard-to-find boutique cigar brands, a staff with over 100 years of combined cigar knowledge and experience, the best prices in town with full box discounts, a great selection of beer and wine, indoor and outdoor seating, private lockers, and best of all, Jerry's is a local family-owned business. Visit us on Sherrill Road or the new lounge on Kerry Forest Parkway, the only cigar lounge for the true gentleman.
Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at Tallahassee Orthopedic Clinic is here for you every step of the way. Now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online.
Hi, my name is Shannon Pash, and I'm the principal at Red Hills Academy. We will provide a challenging, rigorous curriculum. We will also work with our students to teach them how to set goals and then how to work to reach those goals. Red Hills Academy will offer the Spanish language every day. Relationships are really important to us, not just with our students, but with our families and the community. This benefits parents and students alike because parents get that involvement within the school. Easily apply online today at redhillsacademy.com.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
With you. We're not getting into the details. We had a big work meeting this morning, and the only reason I bring it up is because it's, you got to get organized. It's like I was telling you at the start of the show, make sure you're subscribed to all the podcasts, Jeff Cameron Show, Wake Up Warchant, Seminole Headlines, and make sure you're obviously liking, subscribing here to the YouTube channel on Warchant TV. Got to get your ducks in a row. It's football season, man.
Yeah. The other way to do it, too, is to grab the app, which I don't know if you folks out there know. Warchant has an app, and basically everywhere we are in the multimedia world is in one place. So instead of you going to
That's
YouTube
the way to do it
here,
right there, yeah.
it's the smart way to do it. So just grab our app. It's in your app store for all your phones or your tablets.
Get you that Warchant app and get on it. Let's go. Hurry up. I mean it. Do it right now. Get that done. I'll wait. There we go. All right, there we go. So, this week, and I don't worry, people. I'm not going to hard right turn on you because I know you get nervous. But we're at the home of golf for the British Open this week, buddy, for the Open. And it's at the old course. And I'm going to get downright emotional watching that thing because that is the last time that Tiger Woods will play St. Andrews competitively. You know that.
Yeah, he might, when they circle back to the Jack thing where he takes the photos and all that stuff on a Friday when he's missing the cut by 15 shots.
Yeah, but this will be it. This is it.
Yeah.
This is the last time.
I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, buddy. Big time. Big time. Now, there's that this week. It's a fun series this week for my Buccos, who finally took a series from the Brewers. But we play the Marlins this week, so I've got bets everywhere. It's a lot of fun. But then the news to start this week this way, to talk about football in a really positive light, and to have a reason to do so, to have, not just for fun projections of what we hope will happen, because everybody does that. Hope springs eternal in the off season. Everybody wants to believe before the start of a season, before they're given evidence to the contrary. They want to believe that things are going to be better. When you're in a cycle of sorry play, which is what we've been in, you just want a reason to latch on and believe that things are going to be better. And maybe they will, maybe they won't from a record standpoint this year. They have to be for Mike Norvell's sake and for the recruiting sake. But when you're looking at these commitments right now, as I talked about with Michael, the evidence that the NIL is in working order is very important, because all around the landscape of college football, it looks like, and it has looked like for some time, that Florida State was getting lapped, that Florida State was behind the times. It didn't matter if it was the on-field product. It didn't matter if we were discussing NIL or who we're aligned with, unfortunately, from a conference standpoint. Didn't matter if we were talking about certainly recruiting and the efforts that this staff has made but failed in a lot of ways. Like, we were always talking about reactions to what's lacking for Florida State. Lately, we've been talking a lot about what's being righted, what seems to be reaffirmed, that the commitment to football and the understanding that you've got to get your house in order to make it that much more desirable, meaning eyes on sets controlling, brands controlling the world of college football and what comes next. Put your best foot forward. Look, Florida State is, as a brand, and you've seen Michael Alford's tweet, and there's been a lot of other, you could read Sports Business Journal, you can find out where Florida State ranks financially, what their value is to the world of college football, most importantly, those numbers off of television and streaming and all of that. Florida State's a top 20 brand. It's an iconic brand, some might say, Tom. And that's great. But when you're toiling and you make, so I'll give you an example. It doesn't really have an impact on whether or not Florida State gets out of the ACC and gets picked up by the Big Ten or the SEC, but it bothers me still because it speaks to where we're at. I was listening to, I think it was Tony Kornheiser talking about, well, what's next in college football? And he and Wilbaum were yelling at each other as they want to do. And I was walking past the television it was on, and I stopped because they were talking college football. So if they're talking college football, I'm going to stop and listen. And they were reacting right on the heels of the USC-UCLA thing. What did it mean for the Big Ten? And then he said, well, from here, and Tony's right about this, from here, the only thing that matters is what Notre Dame does. Which is correct, because all the dominoes fall after Notre Dame. If they stay in the ACC and they commit to the ACC for some reason, then all of a sudden the ACC is somewhat viable and ESPN will protect its asset and they'll do whatever they can, and we're probably going nowhere, which I don't want. I don't want that, because long-term, we need to be proactive and get the hell up out of here. But that said, he proceeded to have a discussion about what other teams matter now. Who else would you care to hear from besides Notre Dame? And Wilbon said, well, this team. And then Tony Kornheiser said, well, there are no other teams in the ACC worth looking at besides Clemson. I mean, there's no real commodities there that anybody cares about. I mean, who's any good besides Clemson? I was like, you son of a bitch. And it hurt. It speared because that's how we're not omnipresent on the minds of college football fans. Now, that's dismissive and stupid on his part.
Right, he's wrong.
He's wrong, but the fact that it was willy-nilly thrown out there and agreed with and nodded, and it made me realize that, in truth, if you don't have a connection to Florida State, you don't care about Florida State, and you're not a college football expert, you're just Joe Blow who tunes in on some Saturdays here and there for the big game, and you're kind of just like, who's on the mind when I think college football? Well, the teams that are winning. That's who's always on your mind. Who's winning? Well, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia. You might be thinking of USC because of the LA thing now, but you wouldn't be thinking of us. And it stinks. It stinks. It hurts. That is troublesome. And what can you do about it? Well, you can win. You can win. If you go and you win, it really doesn't matter whatever the perception is of any one individual. If you're winning, then you're on the minds of those decision makers down the line that obviously are looking to add brands and present themselves with the best possible television contract, next go around with those negotiations.
Yeah, the good news is that for him being wrong, there's verifiable evidence with the ratings of high-profile Florida State games.
Right.
Like we're no great shakes, and our reputation has already been in shambles for years, and yet that game against Notre Dame rates really well. It's going to do the same thing this year for Florida State LSU. ESPN PR will be putting out all those numbers about, this game versus last year's Sunday night game and all that stuff. If our numbers weren't like that, I'd be really worried,
really scared
right about now, because that matters greatly.
This is why, and I've brought this up before for a long time. When you have 40 years worth of cachet built up, it is not easily dismissed. You cannot. This is why these mega programs that have helped shape and create draw the picture of big time college football. We're one of those teams because of the Bobby Bowden run, because of the dynasty era, because of what we meant to college football and the way that Florida State impacted college football for a better part of 40 years. That doesn't go away with 4 bad years. And the evidence of that, the programs that have had massive amounts of cachet built up over long periods of time, the evidence of their ability to turn it around when it goes south, and invariably it goes south, is all around us. I use Oklahoma a lot because I have family ties to Oklahoma. But you can go through that stretch of play for Oklahoma that spans a better part of a decade before Bob Stoops gets there, where they're playing musical chairs with the coaches. And they can't find anybody. At one point, Schnellenberger is there that people forget about. Blake is failing. Everybody they hired failed. And everybody around the country was going, what has happened to Oklahoma? Well, it took the right guy to tap into that history, that fandom, that die-hard commitment from the boosters with the right message. And within less than a handful of years, Oklahoma was once again the national power that they were for the better part of 60 years. And it's been true at most places that have fallen on hard times, if that cachet exists, because they're part of the larger fabric of the college football blanket.
Yeah, that's the thing here. Like, having a brand like you're talking about allows you to climb, maybe skip a few rungs if you're down, to get back to where you need to be, to get back into top 15 status, then top 10, then championship. If you're a Michigan or a Florida State or a Texas or a Florida or whoever of that group, it's easier to get back. It's much easier. But the question that I have in this day and age now is, in the era of the NIL, is it actually faster? Because if you win, now your boosters or your concerned parties who support NIL collectives, whatever they're called, the collective members, are going to be forking over cash much faster. So that's not the only thing about, if they can get to 8 or 9 wins this year, even 7 to a degree, but 8 wins, if you hit that mark, not only will recruits believe in you, but the people who cut the checks are going to believe in you on a grassroots level. So when your fan base is massive, and we have a massive fan base, we know that from our numbers, just, obviously on Warchant TV, it wouldn't exist without a huge, passionate fan base. If you're sitting on November 1st and you're at 7 wins already, what do you think is going to happen for a group like Rising Spear? And what does that do to impact your ability to close? Because what you're saying today about Simmons is that this tells us, if you're fending off USC and Tennessee and others, that your NIL presentation was robust. So you can at least do it for a guy or 2. But what if you could do it for 6? How would the storylines look from November 15th or Thanksgiving time to December 15th and signing day? How much better would it be?
Well, I keep getting back to, with the shift with the early signing, you have got to start this season successfully. 3-1. If it's something along those lines, if that happens, you got a chance to flip it. If you don't, if you go 2-2, 1-3, you're dead in the water, man. And I hate to have to continue to say this, but at that point, the head coach is a dead man walking, and you're starting to survey the
short of winning out or something like that.
But you'd have to survey the landscape at this point. Like, who's the guy? Problem is, too, now's not the time to be looking for a coach. There is no can't miss out there. Like, look around. Like, any era where teams are, making changes, a lot of times when that happens, you're like, oh, well, so-and-so's available. That's a superstar on the rise. That's the guy we want to go get. This guy's perfect. He's of our ilk. Do that now. Look around. Oh, are there good coaches? There's always good coaches. Yeah. But the rock star PR fit that would make an immediate difference and change what recruits thought, he ain't out there. Like when Nick Saban landed at Alabama, it changed Alabama. Alabama was, a lot of people forget, just useless. It was a calamity of errors. Nobody cared about Alabama. That's an oversimplification, but you know. And then Nick,
Tony Kornheiser wouldn't have brought them up.
Right.
Who matters?
Yeah, right. So then Nick got there, and it changed everything. And obviously, it's rewritten history. But
but that's true because of my age. Alabama hardly mattered until I was about graduating college. Like that's the way they won in the early 90s. I was too young to really appreciate that. One of my first memories of college football is Florida State's national championship season in 93. And even that's really fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
And Bama really wasn't great shakes in the 90s at all. And then,
well, they had you did have the one Gene Stallings.
That's what I'm saying. But I was like 5.
Right,
so
yeah.
for my age group,
Right,
Alabama didn't matter until I was
right.
about graduating college, which is crazy. Like if I told that to a kid right now who's at Florida State, they'd say, "What are you talking about?
Yeah.
They've mattered my whole life."
Yeah. No. By and large, now I'm somebody who certainly loves the history of college football. So I was well aware of Bear Bryant and all that other stuff and the built-in advantages that they had and all that. But for most of my life, Alabama was not an omnipresent focus for college football fans. I mean, you knew their history, you knew they had a passionate fan base, but they weren't in the picture. We weren't talking about them at the start of each season. We were talking about Florida State. Hell, from 88 on, we were talking about Florida State, Florida, and Miami. I mean, that always got brought up. And then you would talk about, and way back then, you'd talk about, probably the last time that you really got a chance to talk about them much was Notre Dame. And you talk about them, and you talked about,
Nebraska.
Yes, Nebraska mattered greatly. Oklahoma mattered greatly. Then there's the run, obviously, later on with Southern Cal. But Alabama was not the talking point. They weren't. I guess my point is if you have cachet and the right guy comes in with the right PR fit and all that other stuff, it does work. You don't want to be searching for a coach, and you do not want to be starting over right now. You want your house in order. You want to be organized, committed, focused. You want to streamline this process for when the music stops, you're sitting in a chair.
Yeah, I agree with all those points. It's just the experiment is, let's just for a moment assume Florida State has a successful season. Like enough to where the fan base, 90% of it would say, good job. All right, we're on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
Can you get back and close this year faster because your NIL presence? Like, it's just a new time. So this is a new variable to enter into the equation. Before it was, do you have a coach who knows some guys and understands the game?
Yeah, wink, wink.
But now that the game is above board, could it just be that one passionate fan base can collect together in a collective, even though it's not affiliated with the university whatsoever?
Not at all.
And point some dollars the way that maybe you are doing the opposite thing on signing day than you were doing last year, which is saying, holy crap, not holy crap, we lost that guy. Holy crap, we got that guy and that guy. And for it to be above board, we could be the grand experiment.
Final thing on this real quick. When you get a recruit like this and when you're starting to turn it around slowly and you need this start and you need a good season, they wanted to make changes to this coaching staff last year. They wanted to do some things that they were unable to get done. And without getting into too much detail, the bottom line is the thought process in college football amongst coaches currently is that, barring evidence to the contrary, Mike Norvell is a short-termer. He's not a guy that is going to be here. That's not because he wants to leave. It's because he'll be asked to leave. That is where, if you're an assistant coach and Florida State calls, you say, thanks, appreciate the offer, no chance in hell. I'm not coming to Florida State so that you can be fired in a year and then I'm out of a job. I have a stable situation where I'm at. I'm well thought of to the point you're calling me, and I'm good. I mean, that's what happened with the receiver coach at Penn State. Why would he leave Franklin's staff at Penn State? They just extended him. He ain't going anywhere. They're not firing him anytime soon.
Right, and we'll call him again if we're in a better situation, and maybe he'll say yes at that point.
That's the key. You got to win some damn games to get this thing going in the right direction, because now when they pick up the phone, they don't think of you as a short-timer. Like, oh, that guy, he righted the ship. He made it. He came out the other side. You know what? I've always liked Mike. He lets his coaches coach.
Right. Look
He
what he's
gives them
done for Atkins' career.
Right.
I mean,
correct.
ooh,
Look what he's done for a lot of guys, by the way. Then all of a sudden, Mike's reputation of being egoless and letting coaches do their damn job and giving them credit for it in the hopes that they go on to better themselves. That's his mantra. He believes that. You got to have a chance to have that effect who you can draw. But when you're losing games and you're thought maybe you're going to get fired, they don't care what kind of guy you are.
Nice guy.
No,
But,
yeah. I'm not out here trying to get fired. No, so that's, there's so much that goes into the infrastructure, the stability of the program. And it's not just this player that says yes. It's not just, it's all of this that we talk about needs to be righted and be in working order so that, again, we're watching radical shifts in college football.
But what's interesting is we all know it going into this season how critical it is. With Willie, it was a surprise that he was fired within 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
With Jimbo, it was out of nowhere. But with Mike, it's like everybody knows this year is the year. This is it, man. Gotta pay it off.
Hey, it's got to be weird, and we'll get a chance to talk to him real soon over there in Charlotte. But I think if I'm Mike, man, I'm excited because the team is better. You got a chance to win the 50-50 games that prove whether or not you got this thing moving in the right direction. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with us. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Hearth and Patio for custom fireplaces, maintenance, outdoor grills, kitchens, fire pits, lighting, and so much more. Check out all of Hearth and Patio's options online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to drink water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us. We're fine.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mndlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
So sticky.
At Hannah's Organic Honey, business may be sweet, but they need an e-commerce queen bee to lead the hive.
Okay, these jars are going to Jakarta. Oh, wait a minute. Does that say Jackson?
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, y'all, this is your girl, Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at Metamucil.com today.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show.
There's no way. I will say this. We spend a lot of time trying to predict what part of the team is going to be appreciably better than it was a year ago or better at all. Which part of the team is going to be worse? How does that affect the overall record? All these things, right? There is zero chance, I'm going to say it right now, there is zero chance that they are not vastly improved when it comes to special teams this year. Zero chance.
Vastly improved? See, that's interesting. Now, if you said improved, yeah, well, of course. How could you not be better? But vastly improved.
If you catch the punts, okay, we're going to start there. If you
Right.
catch the punts,
Right,
okay,
right.
we're just starting with the catching of the punt. If you catch them, you're improved. If you catch them and, God forbid, move forward with the ball in your hand, not backwards, not sideways, forward, you matriculate the ball forward, say 5 yards off of a punt. I'm going to give you 5 yards, Tom. You're improved even more than you were incrementally improved just by catching
So
it.
let's say that point of the catch is your own 35-yard line.
And now you got it at the 40
Right.
because of your 5-yard return.
Instead of the 9 because you let it bounce.
Do you see the difference between the 9 and the 40, everybody? The 9, well, that's a lot to overcome. You're going to have to go 91 yards to score a touchdown. It's going to be a toughie. Don't see a lot of 91-yard drives in football these days. You don't. They do exist, but they don't happen with any great frequency. Whereas if you have the ball on the 40, Tom, 60 yards, that's a big difference. Are you doing the Florida State math? I'm here with you, man.
That's like almost 31 yards better.
It's amazing. 31 fewer yards for which to traverse on your way to pay dirt. Sure sounds like fun to me. It is. It's just that much. The catching and the moving forward of 5 yards equals vastly improved.
Okay.
That's how it works, buddy. Kayvon brought up the fact that he wants to hire me because I gave you a very simple explanation using numbers as to how we were going to be that much better. And let me tell
You're
you,
a new analyst on the staff.
Yeah, I like it. But let me tell you something. Wouldn't it be a funny practice for everybody if you guys were there and I was hired and I'm like, guys, listen up, little special teams for you. Little special teams, everybody. Let me break it down. If you catch the punt, and I go through the whole thing, if you just catch it, can anybody here catch a punt? Micah, come on over. Let's show the boys how it's done. And then I have them kick punts and punt punts. And then my man is over here. I'm looking at the way he's catching them, guys. That's what we're looking for. The catching of the punt. Now, the second part of this is once you have secured the punt, firmly secured the punt, like we just witnessed here from Micah, I want you to run forward. Now, let me show you what I'm talking about. That I would just run forward. Like, there it is. That's what we're looking for around here. It's how championships are built. The catching and the running.
More strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
ran long there at the end of last hour. Sorry for the excessive commercial break there, but that's on me. That we had so much we had to tackle, so much to talk about during that stretch. I wanted to get it in there, and we were able to do so because if you're just hopping in the car listening on 93.3 or you just joined us on Warchant TV, as always, a reminder to like and subscribe and make sure your house is in order for football season. Make sure you're locked in. You get the Warchant app. It's really one-stop shop. Get that Warchant app and make sure you're subscribed to the Warchant Podcast Network where you get the Jeff Cameron Show and you get Wake Up Warchant and you get Seminole headlines, all that good stuff. But last hour, we were able to come on the air right as it was happening. And very, very cool. We had Michael Langston on, recruiting analyst for Warchant, of course. And Florida State got themselves a stud in the world of recruiting on the offensive line. And that's exciting news because Lucas Simmons at 6'7", 300 pounds.
All right, that's a big man.
Was sought after by the biggest players in the game. And by that, I mean those with big-time NIL efforts and movers and shakers across college football. He was pursued by the University of Florida, Ohio State, Auburn, Alabama, Southern Cal, Oklahoma, etc. And Florida State got him. That's a big deal. At a Clearwater Academy down there, not normally a school we reference or that, frankly, I've even heard of, Clearwater Academy.
Yeah.
But I don't care where he's from. By way of Sweden originally, and then Clearwater. He is he'll be in Tallahassee is where he'll be.
It's Clearwater International Academy. Yeah. Whatever. I lived down there for a long
Never
time.
Even heard of it.
Nope.
No.
But whoever it is, I'm thankful because whatever wheels in motion needed to be, there they were, and Atkins was able to close it.
Well, Alex Atkins is a rock star on this staff. He's a great coach. So not only from a strategy standpoint, does he have the goods, he's also a guy who builds and connects and finds a way to work relationships into yeses. He gets firm commitments, and that's exciting because not everybody on this staff has done that. And it's been very important that Alex Atkins do it and carry the day for the Noles. Now, this is an athletic, agile, big man that can bend, good feet. He finishes his blocks, as Michael was talking about. He's a guy that will hurt you. And I have said all along that most of the time when we get yeses from players that are not in the trenches, I'm kind of lukewarm on that. I'm not saying that I ignore that, but I get more excited, of course, about the fact that they're changing what it means in the trenches for Florida State, and that changes everything. That changes everything about what's possible. All of a sudden, all those other players become interested because you can block. Now, all of a sudden, I'm a quarterback, I'm a running back, I'm a wide receiver. There's a chance I'm going to be able to make some plays because they're going to block. None of that had mattered previous, right? Like, you weren't looking at us because Florida State couldn't block it up.
Yeah, and consider that for fall camp, there are going to be 10 new bodies in the offensive line room for this fall versus last football season. I know a couple of them were on campus, actually quite a few, on spring camp. But you threw 5 transfers and 5 high school players that are high quality at the problem. So you've got short-term answers, and it's not where we want to be. It's not ideal, but it's closer. And then you've got some long-term answers with that 22 class, which we like. Now you've got 2 bell cows of offensive line commitments for the 23 class. I mean, really, the room is flipping before our very eyes. We'll just see what the transfers look like when we get to fall camp in not too long. It's just a couple weeks from now. About 15 days?
Yeah, well, we've been waiting patiently, very patiently, for this to flip offensively on the offensive line. And, again, if you are winning those battles over a Tennessee, who's had an impact because of the NIL and a new coaching staff, if you're winning those battles, say, over Southern Cal, who is throwing money at their problem big time, well, it means that your collective, your NIL group, your Rising Spear, is doing a good job.
Such a great name.
It is.
Can we just remark on that for a moment?
It is a great
what
name.
A name.
Yes. So that's where we're at. Now, those are the immediate dividends in the world of recruiting. That is something that's going to help Florida State in the very near future. long term is where the collective minds are that love the game of college football. Long term, big picture has a lot of Florida State fans, of course, worried. And sure, I think every year that goes by in which you're being outgained in terms of financials, it's not good. It's even more to overcome when you finally do get the call, and invariably Florida State will. Inevitably, Florida State will. That's why we want to see what does Notre Dame do, what happens if Notre Dame leaves. And by the way, again, I brought this up last week. Tom, you were on vacation, but I talked about the fact that there is, and people tend to forget about this, but do you remember during the COVID season where Notre Dame was looking for a place to play and the ACC said, come on down, you can play with us in the league this year. You're all good. And people got excited about that because of what it would mean financially and the ratings and all that. But remember, what kind of went overlooked in that was that the ACC invited him in because, of course, in the non-football sports, they were already in. But they said, well, here's the deal. We'll do that for you so that you have a schedule. But you must join the ACC in football if you decide to join a league. And there's a contract that says you have to do that. And I think it's 8 years. I looked it up today. That contract is still in place. They can't just go to another league. Now, they can,
right?
But there's going to be a sizable check to be written if that is to happen. And it would be in violation. So, look, Notre Dame's not in a hurry. But if they're going to join any league, they're contractually obligated to join the ACC.
Right. So the question is, if they decided to not allow, just say, no, that might be written in a contract. We'll settle it in court. No problem. Whatever the payment needs to be, it needs to be. But we're going to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Is that grounds for undoing the grant of rights for everybody else?
There's an argument that it's not.
I'm sure there is. There's an argument that it is.
There is an argument that it is.
And that argument might, in and of itself, reduce the fee you need to pay, which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to whittle it down.
Yeah, but the question is one of time. How quickly can that happen?
Right.
Because nobody wants to sit around till 2036 waiting on this stupid-ass contract to end.
Right. And this is something that's important. Last night on Sunday Smash, Ira was going through the numbers, and the exit fee for a university in the ACC right now is somewhere between $100 million and $120 million. On its face, you say, where do we sign? Because if you're going to be making close to $100 million a year in a different conference, then that sounds like nothing. But that is in addition to the grant of media rights. It is not solely a flat fee of $120 million gets you out the door. That's only where we begin, and that's where the trouble is.
It's 3 times the annual revenue that you get from the ACC. So that would stand to reason, right? 3 times. Yeah.
Right.
100 million, 120 million.
118, somewhere
in there. Okay. That's what it is. In addition to the GOR, which is where you're screwed.
Right.
So you would,
because if it was just $100 million, done.
Done. But what you need is that the 2 primary movers and shakers here, everybody, I think, incorrectly says the Big Ten and the SEC. No, it's really Fox and ESPN. That's what this is. So ESPN has sunk a ton of money into the ACC. They built the network. The reason we signed the GOR to begin with was so that they would build the network that they built for the SEC. We wanted that. They said, we're not building a damn thing until you can promise me that Florida State, Clemson, Miami, Virginia Tech, and others aren't going to ride off into the sunset the second we start on the project. So in order to show them the commitment collective, well, they were able to convince university presidents and athletic directors to sign away their grant of rights till, at that time, I think it was 2027. Then they extended it. What the hell they extended it for, I have no idea, but they did.
Both legs of those agreements, when the facts final one came in, or the scanned document, I'm sure the folks in Bristol are just laughing, like, unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable.
I can't believe these guys.
So the ability to anticipate is power. You have to be able to anticipate. If not, all you do is react. And if you're reacting, you have no power. Florida State, the ACC, are in a position to have to react because of incompetent leadership for, well, the better part of the last 20-something years. So now you wonder where Jim Phillips' head's at, because what can he do? He inherited a nightmare for his league, but I'm sure he has great interest in having that league survive. And the only chance he has is that it is an asset. It's less of one, but it is an asset to ESPN. ESPN is not just going to allow that asset to dissolve. They want to get their money back. They want their money. So there are assets in this league. I just wonder how ESPN will focus on the ACC, if at all. Will they look down the line and say, this is a league destined to dissolve. Let's expedite the process. Let's just get the teams that we can control out of that league that are going to help us for the future television contract of the SEC.
Right. Yes. We're not going to let them go to the big. Right. So that's the thing. We have the door. They can only walk through this door.
Right.
They cannot walk over to Fox and the Big Ten.
No.
They can only walk through the door to us in the SEC.
That's right. Well, see, and this is why ESPN is fighting like hell, allegedly, from what I've been told, to get Notre Dame to join the ACC. It's the only chance the ACC has to survive, and for ESPN to have an asset worth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would think that they have recourse enough, whatever penalties they'd have to pay, that if Notre Dame joined the ACC in football, they could just move them straight through. It's like, all right, skip this line. You got your fast pass to the SEC, because they know that they're going to be on their network henceforth. The problem as a Florida State fan right now is very simple. We're not the first ones at the door. Somebody else has to walk through the door in order for us to get where we want to go, and that sucks.
Well, yeah, you're not in control because, again, you didn't anticipate. You're now reacting.
But it's Notre Dame, and it might be North Carolina next, which is crazy, but that's the thing. It's we're not the first ones there that they're going to pick, because North Carolina offers things that we cannot to both TV networks.
Right, but once you get past Notre Dame, the rest of the teams that you're going to mention, whether it's North Carolina, I've heard Georgia Tech because of Atlanta, Miami because of the market in Miami, Clemson, whomever you want to name, that is wild speculation. Nobody knows for certain what that second team looks like and who it is and how quickly it would happen. What we do know is that Notre Dame is the only team that matters right now. That's it. Now, you could say that's not true, Jeff. What if the Big Ten then adds Oregon and Washington, which they might. They might be proactive. They may decide, no, we're going to continue to kick it in the SEC's face, and we're going to go ahead and grab these two markets. You get the Seattle market, whatever. It's more about brands, but anyhow, so you grab
also,
Oregon.
You have regional rivalries there within.
Right.
So you can put a division together if you want to put like a 4-team. There you go, Oregon, Washington, and the 2 California teams.
There it is. Exactly. You could. So maybe they're proactive. Well, if they're proactive, and again, if this is expedited, which is what we want, every time one of these moves happens, smile. It moves us that much closer, in my opinion, to this being resolved in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
I want to wake up every day and hear about another team leaving. I want to hear that Oregon has joined the Big Ten. I want to hear that Washington has joined the Big Ten. And then I want to hear that the SEC is like, well, screw this. We're going to grab. Yeah, let's go. Let's just get there.
The problem is for Notre Dame, from their perspective, they're like the person who has an awesome job and is just getting offers left and right.
Yeah, they don't have to leave anywhere.
Right. And you feel that in the interview room. Somebody who needs the job and somebody who, I could do the job.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure it works for me. Very different how those two interviews go. And that's where Notre Dame is right now in the good spot.
Yeah, the deal with NBC expires in 2025. They're on the cusp of what most people believe would be a very lucrative mega deal. Yeah. They don't have to make a decision here. So Swarbrick's not going to make a decision.
Right. And NBC's not even going to throw their hat in the ring, I wouldn't think.
No, so what you have to hope for here.
Drew Brees was doing analysis for those games last year. That tells you how much they care about Notre Dame football on NBC.
But the thing is, man, you have to hope that the major powers that be decide to exclude Notre Dame from any potential playoff if they're not part of one of these mega conferences. So if they basically lay out a future and tell Notre Dame, well, that's great. You value your independence and you've held on to it. I was going to use a crude analogy, but you've held on to it forever. Great. Now it's time, or else you're not going to play big boy football. You're not going to be in the playoff. You have no passage to the playoff. Where we're headed, you're not invited unless you join one of these leagues.
Yeah, the problem is ESPN, which controls the playoff, doesn't want to do that. That would be behind closed doors. That would never be a public statement.
There's a lot of behind closed doors right now.
Oh my God. We were talking
imagine?
about that. How many burners would you have? Like, would you have like colored burners so the schools
every
can keep them
league,
straight?
every
Like, if
team,
you're
yeah.
Alford,
Yeah.
you've got to have burners because it can't go on the state records of a phone log. You don't want that happening right now, or an email chain, certainly not. So you got to have these burners. It's orange for Clemson. It's a different shade of orange for Miami, and
green for Miami. Yeah, whatever.
yeah, right, exactly. Because you got all these hypothetical conversations. These ADs could write a book, and I would read it in a second.
And
when
they
this is
might
all
when
over.
this is all over. I mean, they did that. I mean, there've been big books on ESPN and on Saturday Night Live and the like. It's crazy to hear about what happens behind the scenes with agents and directors and producers. I would think also if you're the athletic directors and you're an athletic director at a school that benefits greatly from leaving this conference, say Clemson, say Florida State, say Miami, say North Carolina, whatever it might be, right? Those conversations, what you're trying to build is a majority. You would like to get to 9, 8, 9, 10 teams that say, this is untenable. We want out. This is not going to work. Like, there's power in numbers of going to the ACC and saying, it's not willy-nilly. It's not just a one of us wants to leave. The majority of us think this conference is dead in the water.
Yeah, now picture the W in Charlotte in about 10 days.
I
mean, just think about the energy that is going to be in that ballroom, in the grand foyer.
I'm reminded of the Spider-Man meme because I'm just picturing Clemson, Florida State, Miami, Virginia Tech, and others going,
right.
Like, can we go? Can we go?
Well, I would imagine that this is also, like you're the 3 people or 4 people at the party that are like, all right, let's go to the real party.
Let's go.
Like, we did our nice thing. This is very kind.
We're all meeting over here.
It's 6:30.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, from across the room,
yeah.
Florida State is getting a drink. They look over at Clemson. Clemson touches the watch and everybody nods. They got the deal.
Yeah. North Carolina's like, they saw it.
No.
And they're like, hey, thanks so much for the invite. It was great.
Yeah, all
Had
of a sudden,
great time. Like, all right.
And then
5 minutes.
Virginia, who doesn't know where it's going to happen, wants to be part of the in group. They're like, oh, hey, I was just headed that way. No, you weren't. No. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Another tack from Northern Florida?
Yes, Your Majesty.
And may I ask why we get it?
It's from one of our businesses in the States, a pest control company.
Oh, and what do we know about pests in Northern Florida?
Absolutely nothing.
Did you know that most pest and termite companies that serve Tallahassee are actually owned and operated by people that don't even live in our area? One owner is actually in Great Britain.
Paul's Termite and Pest Control was founded in North Florida, operates in North Florida, and services North Florida.
All of Paul's decisions and treatments, plus prevention methods, are centered around the unique needs of our wonderful part of the world.
Being local really does matter in our industry.
Don't trust the health of your family to companies that aren't even on our continent.
Protect your biggest investment from termites and your family and pets from pests with a company with the local advantage, Paul's Termite and Pest Control.
And remember, Paul keeps North Florida lawns green, too. For the elimination of termites and other pests.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
We use a fly swatter?
I believe we do.
Hi, my name is Shannon Pash, and I'm the principal at Red Hills Academy. We will provide a challenging, rigorous curriculum. We will also work with our students to teach them how to set goals and then how to work to reach those goals. Red Hills Academy will offer the Spanish language every day. Relationships are really important to us, not just with our students, but with our families and the community. This benefits parents and students alike because parents get that involvement within the school. Easily apply online today at redhillsacademy.com.
Dirty exterior? Don't scrub it. Wet it and forget it. Wet and Forget, the easy outdoor cleaner. Wet and Forget works over time with Mother Nature to eliminate unsightly black and green stains on the exterior of your home with no scrubbing, power washing, or bleach. Use Wet and Forget on all your outdoor surfaces, including decks, siding, roofs, and patios. Wet and Forget's available in a concentrate or extreme reach hose-in. Purchase Wet and Forget in store or online at Lowe's, Menards, Ace, or Walmart.
Angie's List is now Angie, your home for everything home. With Angie, you could cross your next project off your to-do list before this ad is over. Just tell us what you need, and we'll handle the rest, sending a top pro to get it done. Or browse reviews, compare quotes from pros, and connect instantly, all for free. For everything from routine maintenance to a dream remodel. Because however you want your project done, we'll get it done. Download the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com to get started.
God gave us two ends, one to think with and one to sit on. Success in life depends on which one you use. Heads, you win. Tails, you lose. Hi, I'm Rick Hughes, host of The Flatline. Heard every Sunday morning here at 7:30 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3 Tallahassee Real Talk Station. Come join me, 30 minutes of motivation, inspiration, and some education as I seek to reveal God's plan by teaching 10 unique problem-solving devices. Every Sunday morning, 7:30 a.m., 93.3 Real Talk Tallahassee.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is sponsored by the legendary team at Hamilton Home Loans. Great rates, cutting-edge technology, and transparent communication is the recipe for a 5-star mortgage experience at FSUHomeLoans.com.
Term, I want what's best financially for the university that gives its athletic departments the best chance to compete at the highest levels for championships. Everybody wants that. But in terms of the larger discussion, by the way, Irish FL set to join us here in about 5 minutes, maybe a little less. When you play the game, and we do this every time the pieces of the puzzle get kind of shaken and you're wondering where they, trying to find a place to put them back. It's fun because it involves entities that we all have an opinion about. We all, share in the soap opera of college football, and these are directorial decisions. Okay, well, what are we doing here? What would make this scene look best, right? When you play the game and you get stuck in the, well, what's going to happen with the GOR, and can any of those teams leave? And we're all waiting on Notre Dame. So the wild scenarios become, well, what if nothing happens? Nothing's going to happen in the next 4 years. What's tenable? Well, when you play that game, you do the bi-coastal ACC Pac-12 joint effort. It does get fun. It would be kind of cool to go play at Autzen. It would be awfully nice if you could have a Pacific Division and an Atlantic Division, and the winners of those two come out and play each other, say, in the ACC championship or whatever it would be called in Las Vegas. Great. Yeah, I'm down with that. Let's go. And they are on the West Coast. I don't know, Stanford, Oregon, Washington, Oregon State, Cal, and I don't know, whatever else, Washington State, I don't know.
Right.
And then in the ACC, you kick some of these teams to the curb that have offered you nothing. So you tell Boston College and Syracuse and others, get the hell out of here. Go back to the Big East or figure out something, but you're not going to be here. So then it's North Carolina, Florida State, NC State, Clemson, Miami, Virginia Tech. So now you've got this group or whatever you want it to be. Say it's 8 to 10 teams and 8 to 10 over there. And we you could largely play regionally, but you would have a cross division matchup.
Oh yeah.
Well,
every year, at least one.
Yeah. And so, yeah, at least one, right? So all of a sudden you are talking about games against Washington in Seattle and Oregon at Autzen. And
Right.
that could be fun.
And you could kick off in every window, 12, 3:30, 8, and 10.
Yeah.
So you kick off at all windows. That would be interesting. But the thing is, you'd have to be told no by the SEC. Multiple schools would have to be told no. And the reason I say that is there's a threshold, apparently, with the grant of rights that if more teams are admitted to the ACC or whatever you want to call this
it would shake it up that you could leave.
Yep, sure could.
Yeah.
So that's why they don't want to use they don't want to merge conferences per
Right,
se,
because now it renders.
because now you can go. You just go wherever you want.
Yeah. Well, that would be awesome.
That would be awesome. Hey, Jim, that's a great idea. Let's invite
Make
these
it
teams
happen.
in.
Sure. The second that the ink is dried, you're like, yeah, and we're gone. We're out of here. Thanks for blowing up the grant of rights. Our own Ira Shafel, Warchant.com. Going to join us right now, as he's wont to do on Mondays. Today's a good one, Ira. We get the news that Lucas Simmons is going to be a Nole. And every time you and I talk, and really all Florida State fans talk, I think we realize that Alex Atkins is worth his weight in gold, buddy. He is doing some things.
Yeah, man, he is obviously killing it in recruiting. Florida State has, since I wrote the other day that since Alex Atkins got to Florida State, it's really been just a complete evolution of that offensive line room. But particularly in the last year, they signed 6 high school recruits, very talented, impressive guys. And then you add in 4 transfers that he's got to come in. And then now in the last couple of weeks, they've gotten 2 4-star commitments for next year. So really there's nothing you could say other than, Alex Atkins is just killing it for Florida State.
Yeah, and this was not just a position that raises an eyebrow for us, but it's one that Florida State has been searching for some time, to find some talent that really, I think, is identifiable solely as a tackle. And you've got a guy that at 6'7", 300 pounds that can move and can bend. He is long. He is a quintessential tackle. And if you're starting to get yeses in the trenches, it changes the likelihood that you could get changes and yeses, I should say, at the skill positions too, because now a running back could look at Florida State's offensive line situation and say, that projects well.
Yeah, man. And I mean, going back to, again, it's the most recent successful period of time. So we'll go back to Jimbo Fisher. But I remember talking to him when he took over as Florida State's head coach, and even towards the end of Coach Bowden's tenure, when Jimbo was taking over recruiting, and he would talk about those signing classes Florida State had in the late 2000s, where sometimes they would still be highly rated recruiting classes, but the problem was they were all skill position guys. And Jimbo's point was, man, you can find skill position guys that are going to be pretty highly rated in most schools around the country. But if you're going to compete with the best of the best, you're going to compete with SEC type schools, it's all about the trenches. And so now Florida State's doing that. And really, I think for the most part, early on in Alex Atkins' tenure, we've been impressed by his ability to develop some players, some guys who are not highly recruited necessarily. I don't think Darius Washington wasn't a blue chip recruit. He's recruited. He has developed him well. Robert Scott, I think, has developed well. He's done nice things with the pieces he has. But now, the end of that last recruiting class, where you get Julian Armella, who at one point was a 5-star, ends up a 4-star recruit. Jalen Early, Kayshawn Sapp. I mean, those are big-time offensive linemen. Then you continue it now with Roger Kearney and Lucas Simmons. You got a bunch of – now you're not just developing 3-star guys. You're bringing in the 4-star guys that should be much easier to develop and have a much higher upside. So, it's just a really impressive for Florida State.
Yeah, and there's word that there's a couple more coming. So it's I directed everybody to warchant.com to continue to follow, obviously, the articles being written every week and really seemingly every day these days, with Michael Langston giving us the latest on some big names that are out there. And I think if you go back to, Ira, I brought this up with Michael last hour, on the heels of Keldrick Falk and Roderick Kearney, and now you get Lucas Simmons. So these are 3 wins right off the bat with 4-star kids, and we're still waiting on a couple of others. The Smothers kid, Nicholson, Glenn, the quarterback, right. Gatson, the defense. This is it's picking up, because there was a feeling that this was an area of real concern with this coaching staff, and understandably, but they're getting some wins at a very big moment where they can kind of close this thing out and go into a season with some momentum. They just have to start well on the season.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, as you said, those were ones that I think most people that follow recruiting felt good about all three of those guys being Florida State guys in the end. Some of the guys you mentioned going forward might be a little bit more 50-50 or maybe even not as strong for Florida State. So they may not get, maybe they only get one of those last remaining guys this month, but they might get one or two more. But to your point, the feeling I've gotten from Florida State staff over the last 6 months or so was they really felt like during the season was when they were really going to start kind of hitting it full stride in terms of recruiting, because they do feel like they're going to have a good season. They're very confident about what this season looks like. And they feel like they're in great position to where if they have that success on the field, win 8 games somewhere in that ballpark, they're going to be able to flip or bring in more recruits in that class. And so it really could get going even more once the season starts. But ultimately, we all know it really hinges on what happens in this season.
We have a little bit of time, but not much. So I'll ask you this. How odd is this ACC kickoff going to be for all of us? It's just a weird time. Tom and I were just talking about this. Like, everybody's going to be looking at each other like, what? Are you leaving? Are you leaving? When can we leave? Are we allowed to leave? Is this thing going to exist? Like when we're meeting in Charlotte 3 and 4 or 5, are we meeting in Charlotte 3 and 4 or 5 years from now? I mean, and there's a lot of questions surrounding this conference.
Right. And it does feel like, over the last week or so, and we've talked about it last night on the Sunday Smash, I'm sure you guys have talked about it as well, but it's the reality that the grant of rights is as binding as it is has settled in for a lot of people. And I think we know that Florida State can't just decide to leave.
Yeah.
Now,
but they would have done that a long time ago.
Right. But other things are going to kind of have to fall into place. So I feel like the ACC meetings will kind of feel like, all right, everybody feels like, okay, we kind of know we're all here for now, but does anybody really want to be here? And so it's like we're all stuck in a timeshare that nobody wants to be in. And so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, I think that part of it, though, at least I don't think there'll be the nervous anxiety where everybody's looking over their shoulder. Like Jim Phillips is looking to make sure, is Mike Norvell still here?
Yeah.
Did the FSU people leave? Are they going to be at their press conference? I think there's at least a feeling that it's going to last a little bit longer. But yeah, man, the one thing that's become very clear this time that was not clear in previous years of talk of expansion is that the vast majority of schools that have a place that might be interested in them are very interested in leaving. I think years past, there were still some schools that felt like, okay, maybe we just need to stay in the ACC.
What is even fair to ask of Jim Phillips? Like, that guy has to give the State of the Union address of the ACC to start. You know how it is. Every year we go to this thing. Every year you sit down in that huge ballroom and he gets, at the time it was Swafford, but he gets up there at the podium, and for years, Swafford was never going to answer anything honestly or say anything that mattered. And we all just kind of rolled our eyes, and it was just sort of a function of things that we had to do while you were here. This will be the most anticipated commissioner speech that we've ever gone to, I think, just about.
I think you're going to we need to get a little ticker or like a ding for every time he says grant of rights and emphasizes that all you some blanks are you're all locked anywhere. In here.
We know you want the fact. I know you do, but you're not going anywhere. Yeah. Well, he's
but I think he may also master the art. One thing John Swafford was great at was the filibuster. His speech his allotted time would be 30 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever it was. And he would spend about 15 minutes on his opening statement, then spend about 3 minutes on the first question or two just to stall and try to avoid answering the tougher questions. So maybe he might need to dust off Swafford's old playbook.
The first two questions were always plants. They're always like, can you talk about the national championships that the ACC garnered this past calendar year? All right. Yeah, that's what we wanted to know. We wanted to know about that lacrosse championship. That's it. Yeah, here we go. It was always that way. Thanks, brother. Be well. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks. See you, man.
Yeah, take care. RSFL, Yeah, the first two questions were always like, the ACC won more championships in Olympic sports last year than any other league. Can you talk about the prolific winning that the Olympic sports have done in the ACC? Oh, that's a great question, John. I sure can. Appreciate you asking that. Oh, I bet you do. You got a list of them right there. You're going to tell us about that beach volleyball championship or something, aren't you? And we're going to sit here for 20 minutes while you prattle on about the swimming championship that somebody won that nobody cares about. Yes.
Well, and sometimes now it's not even a plant. Like they'll have the director, the MC of the event will just ask the first couple of questions.
Yeah.
They usually do that at the schools. Like, all right, so we'll get it started with me, and then we'll pass the microphone out there.
Yeah.
Like, that guy might just be there the whole time. All right, well, we'll get it started with me. The microphone will be passed out around there.
Yeah, and everybody's like, where's the
All right,
mic?
last one for Jim.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, we ran out of time. Everybody's like, yeah. Jim, can you talk about what it meant to the member institutions to bring home a third straight diving championship this year? I can. I get emotional. Thank you. I appreciate that. It is unprecedented what's going on in this conference with diving championships. You look around the great sport of diving through the years, and you've seen dominance here and there from the Big Ten and from the Pac-12. But the ACC's at a place now where I think we can all safely say, and I will here today, we are the king or queen, if you will, of diving. And it's something we're proud of in the ACC, not unlike lacrosse. And I know you were about to ask me about lacrosse, so I'll just go into that. But, when you look at the lacrosse championships year in and year out, they don't always come easy. It's through a lot of hard work. They do a great job recruiting this league. North Carolina and Virginia, Wake Forest, Boston College. A lot of schools have had a lot of success in lacrosse, as you well know. And you're just sitting there going, I can't believe we're listening to this. What is going on? Nobody. Guys.
Well, and you know what? Maybe it's apropos we speak of royalty being in Charlotte. The history of Charlotte and how it ties into royalty. And it's an amazing place. We're very fond of this city. They've been a great partner to the ACC for so many years.
Yeah.
Not just the staff here at the W, which is fantastic. I mean, folks, a little round of applause
for the staff at the W.
I mean, they work very hard.
Very
They work very hard.
Yeah.
It's a hardworking city, Charlotte. That's why it's the host of our football championship and has been since, about 15 years ago almost now.
Well, and if I may, God willing, it will be for the next 10 years too. And I'll tell you what, we have a special relationship with Charlotte and a negotiation right now with Charlotte to extend. I want you all to be the first to hear this at the ACC kickoff, to extend our championship run right here in the great city of Charlotte. So it doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. Right there, Bank of America.
All right, folks, that's all for Commissioner Phillips.
It's been great, guys. I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody. I know you guys have some pressing questions. If you see me out and about, I'll be happy to answer any of those. Then you never see them again.
Please grab a refreshment. Boston College will be at the podium in 10 minutes.
The Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Firefighters battled a residential fire Sunday morning that caused thousands of dollars in damage. Crews responded to the 2000 block of Monday Road around 9:40 a.m. They found heavy smoke coming from a single-story house. Firefighters extinguished the flames quickly and learned no one was inside the home at the time. Damages are estimated at $20,000, and the fire is believed to be electrical. There were no reported injuries. The Red Cross is working to help one person who was displaced. A traffic stop ended in a significant drug seizure and a felony arrest Sunday morning, according to the Gadsden County Sheriff's Office. A deputy made a stop near West Jefferson and Shelfer Streets in Quincy around 1:30 a.m. Authorities discovered about 1.7 pounds of marijuana, a half gram of meth, and a loaded Glock 27 firearm in the vehicle. The driver of the car, Donnell Brown, was arrested and charged with felony possession of marijuana and meth and possession of a firearm while committing a felony. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McLemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Mainly cloudy skies expected overnight with a slight chance for scattered thunderstorms. Lows level off around 75. South winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. High temperatures reach up to 86. Overcast skies. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow night. Lows dip down to about 74. Cloudy skies expected. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 78.
See Nice Tire and Auto Service at 4792 Bluntstown Highway today. The ASE trained technicians at Nice take the guesswork out of fixing your car. That's why wherever you see the Goodyear sign, you'll find what you want in tires and service. From preventative maintenance to a major overhaul and everything in between, you name it. Plus, Nice's services are backed by a nationwide limited warranty. Stop by Nice Tire and Auto Service. 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
Chattanooga, Tennessee. Pastor Tabner was alone with a female church employee. She in a towel and he in his boxers. The charismatic 41-year-old Hurley explained the two of them had been making chili and gotten food on their clothes. With the hot dogs that they were making, we are hoping that the pastor used the right condiments.
I think there was at least one hot dog involved.
I don't know what you're talking about. We were just making chili dogs.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Want to get the best guidance imaginable and possible, and that is with my man Shannon. My man Shannon's got you all wrapped up here. Legendary Home Loans is what you're looking at. Shannon 844 FSU loan, or you can look them up at fsuhomeloans.com. Interesting time right now, but we're still buying homes, and Shannon will take every opportunity to make that as easy as possible for you. Cutting-edge technology, transparent communication. This is all the stuff you want. You want a 5-star mortgage experience. That's what you're going to get. Hamilton Home Loans, not the name any longer. So when you hear that shifted, it's just Legendary Home Loans. Same guy, same great service. Shannon, Legendary Home Loans. Okay?
Good to know. The graphic will be updated as such.
We have to update that. So there you go. Just want everybody to know
it's
that.
It's update time for that graphic.
Man, it was good to have an update to start the show, wasn't it? I feel like we can exhale. Like today's been a busy show. I mean, I look up and it's 45 after. I'm like, my goodness, time has flown past today because of all the news, the weightiness, the meatiness of it all.
Yeah, today's busyness level is a good simulation for a football Monday. It's not exactly the same,
right,
but it's a nice little 80%. It's gonna be fun, man. This season, now you're here. It's the second week in July. You're basically here because camp starts in under 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's when I got up this morning, I was like, this is where you enter into mid-July. And so, basically this week is you enter into mid-July. And once that happens, it's basically go time. And that would be true even in a year where we didn't start this early. But because we're starting this early, it's expedited that process significantly.
Yeah, that's the thing is, you go to Charlotte and you go to the ACC kickoff, and then there's a little mini lull before camp, and that's just not the case this year. You get back and it's going to be like the next day is Norvell's opening press conference. I'm just projecting. We don't have the exact date in front of us just yet, but that seems about right. If it's a Tuesday, Wednesday at the kickoff, probably Friday at lunch. I mean, and that's 2 Fridays away. That's crazy.
Yeah, and he's in an interesting spot. I mean, obviously, you're going to project strength. But at the same time, I do always appreciate his candor. So I'm kind of curious, body language, decisiveness, and in the way that he speaks. Mike's always got a plan. He's nothing if not organized. But I also think he's fairly transparent. So what an interesting time for his program. He knows what kind of season this is. For him, for his staff, for this university, for this program, the long-term rebuild that we've been going through. And then there's that of the conference. There's all of this. I'm kind of curious. I know this. He's probably tired of hugging Alex Atkins. I mean, every day he comes to work, he's going to be like, oh, Alex, another hug for you, buddy. Good job.
Never get tired of hugging Alex Atkins at this point.
Yeah.
Hope he has a hug for him tomorrow for a new reason.
Yeah, another big name or something.
Alex, did you call that 5-star receiver on your own?
I did. I got him. Mike, I got him. Don't worry about it. Well, how about that? Somebody's getting receivers around here.
Somebody gets a hug.
Yeah. Mike, again, it's my job. I'm tired of hugging.
Oh, but we go above and beyond here, don't we, Alex?
Yeah.
Wait till you see that bump you get in December.
So, again, there's a lot going on with Florida State right now that indicates that the commitment is there. And I think Ira's got a piece coming out here real soon, again, about Florida State's effort to let's get this moving. Let's get this. Let's show, for those that are curious, how dedicated to Florida State football's future we are by way of compensation for coaches, additions with analysts, NIL organization, identifying prospects, procuring commitments via NIL from said prospects, and then obviously there's the whole winning on the field thing.
That's a small matter.
Yeah, that's
trivial at best.
That's a fairly big one there. The whole winning. But I'm hoping. I mean, I think it's easy to get wrapped up this time of year as you get set to get started, in the enthusiasm and a sense of positive, projection. I still think this team has real holes. I think it's a tough schedule. I think things have to go right for them. Can't start soon enough for me, because right now we've done the W's and L's and what has to happen and what we want to happen and all that. I want to see these position battles because there's a ton of them, and that offensive line is going to be fascinating to watch. I mean, there's a depth of competition at the most important position on the field or segment group on the field that is, I think, going to really up the ante. And we're going to see that right from day one when they get into pads. So really not day one, but once pads got on, you're going to see that battle. There's upwards of a possible 3 starting jobs available on that offensive line that will be battled for.
But the good news is pads is 3 days in, something like that. The first day is all the newcomers. So you get to go through that. The second day, you also get to see some of the other newcomers, plus, man, who has done the work in the weight room this offseason. So by the time pads come on, you'll be ready. We'll be like, okay, that's fine. We've seen enough 7-on-7s here. This dude has won a bunch of 7-on-7s before, but let's put the shoulder pad more than shells, full pads. But that process begins 2 Mondays from now. We'll have some of those answers.
Let's go. You want to do probables? We can do it right here.
Sure can.
Well, let's hit it. Let's make it happen.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Got a little wager on some Pirates Marlins action this week. Some buddies.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah. Well, hey, we finally won a series against the Brewers in Milwaukee. Split with the Yankees. Final scores don't matter. They account for 1 win. We lost a game 16-0. Yeah. That was 1 win for the Yankees.
I saw you put on your Instagram the Vogelbach home run. Woo. I was watching that live.
Were you?
Yeah. And we were laughing. A couple of friends of mine. We said he's Mr. Oktoberfest. That's his nickname. Look at that dude.
So Vogelbach, who hit a home run yesterday, straightaway center, and our dear friend Rob was at the game from Metro Deli.
He was?
He was in Milwaukee watching the game, and he texted me a picture. He said, "I don't play." He saw Vogelbach go yard at dead center. But Vogelbach swings like it's 1927.
Right.
Just get like,
he also looks like it's 1927, and an athlete from that time.
It's great. I love it. Detroit and Kansas City are in the third. They're tied at 0. It's Michael Pineda for the Tigers. The Royals are throwing Brad Keller. Pirates, Marlins. That starts today. I got it wrong. I thought it started tomorrow. We don't know who the hell we're going to throw tonight at 6:40. But Trevor Rogers is going to start for the Marlins, and if we're going to win a game, I think this would be the one because Trevor Rogers sucks. Red Sox, Rays, Brian Bello and Matt Whistler. White Sox, Guardians, Lance Lynn, Cal Quantrill. We got the Phillies and the Cardinals, Aaron Nola, Miles Mikolas.
Yes.
Oh, buddy, you should have some wagers going. Here we go. Let's get it on. Mets, Braves, 7:20 tonight. 2 teams with almost the exact same record. Max Scherzer and Max Fried.
Yep. Mad Max night. Gonna need Scherzer to pitch. This lineup we're hurt right now. We're banged up again. So they're catching us at a good time.
Don't be making preemptive excuses.
No, that's true. It's a reason for concern, but we might still win the ball game.
You could. It's baseball. You got a good pitcher on the hill. A's, Rangers, Adrian Martinez, Spencer Howard. Tigers, Royals, Alex Fato and Daniel Lynch. Padres, Rockies, Sean Manaea and Jose Urena. D-backs, Giants tonight. Merrill Kelly seems like he's always on the hill for the D-backs. That's an irrelevant team. Boy, I tell you what, nobody gives a damn about the D-backs. Giants, Alex Cobb, and that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. Hey, so this is the week, albeit busy, but it's awesome to think about what we have this week with the Open. I should say the Open at the Old Course, the home of golf, and one of the most unique cool courses to ever. Well, it is probably the coolest and most unique course in the world. And it is, when they played at the old course, I put aside my anger about the waves of weather, because the old course, you can be so, and this is true. You hear all the players say this, and I've done extensive reading on this because I have to for the Beyond the Tip show on SiriusXM. All the players talk about the millions of ways to attack a course, and it could be radically different on a Thursday than on a Friday than on a Saturday, because you have so many different landing spots. You literally have holes that cross each other throughout.
Shared greens, shared tee boxes.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
But also, when you talk to people who've gone and played the old course, and I never have, but they'll say things like, "Oh yeah, your caddy will tell you off the tee to aim at the corner of that building or whatever," and you're like, "What? Just trust me on this. With the way the wind's blowing today, you're going to want to land over here, and don't worry, the fairway is like 700 yards wide. You're going to land over there, and you're going to have a straight shot of what we're looking at, and you can't see it from the tee." You're like, "Okay." So you watch two different players make two different, very different decisions as to how to attack the hole that day, and they both could be right, both could be wrong, but they could be very, very. And that doesn't. Brian, you lucky son of a. Have fun.
Wow.
Yeah. You should take a JCS shirt with you, Brian. Well done, man. Alive. That's awesome. But yeah, so I mean, that's fun because you're using imagination. You're using, obviously your smarts to get around the place.
This one kind of hurts because this would have been my honeymoon in a non-COVID situation. We would have been 3 days of golf in Scotland and then 3 days of the Open, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday.
Buddy.
Yeah.
All right, we got to put that aside.
I know.
Someday we'll go play at the old course, buddy. We
Call
will.
it our honeymoon. Yeah, that's our own.
You and me.
Would you like to go swimming?
Good work out of you. Good work, everybody.
Good work, Alex Atkins.
Yeah. Director Matthew, thanks for hanging in there, buddy. And thanks to all of you guys. Be good. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.